The one thing that I would say is that probably one of the oldest but best used marketing engines that you ever would have, especially as a new grad, is learning after an assessment to send an initial assessment report to a physician to make yourself known. When that patient is done with you, complete a discharge note. So you're actually, that physician is seeing multiple times your name coming across their desk and outcomes from that particular patient. The younger population, or the millennials if you will, so physios from students and new grads, you guys have the huge power of social media that me, myself, we didn't actually utilize when I was graduating. So there's a huge opportunity where you can build a lot of value to a niche community, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram. You guys have that capacity to understand that world really well, and that could actually be another opportunity for you guys to drive leads in order to build a caseload. Now, if we go to the next opportunity where that owner is providing you all their assessments, one of the things that I would say is it's so important for you guys to actually learn how to maintain that caseload. And that really starts with what we would teach in school, and as we go through some of our post-grad mentorship is about the patient experience. So what are those checkpoints so you know whether your patient's staying engaged, whether you know your patient's actually satisfied with the care plan, and how do we get them from the beginning of their assessment all the way to the end of their treatment plan. So really looking at completing their care plan. And I would say if that's sort of the position that you sit in, that's by far the best one for a new grad student to work on initially, because that's when you're really focusing on maintaining your caseload. And that's typically when you get to that end, now you circle back to both options and you have your patients now sending their friends and family. There's your word of mouth, and that's how that would build. Short answer is the entire thing is negotiable. The one thing I would say when it comes to what can you negotiate is understanding, first of all, what's important to you as a physio, right? So is it, if you were to rate the top 5 things that are important to you, is it the actual compensation? Is it the continuing education? Is it the mentorship? Is it benefits? Is it, the caseload that you'll have to see? And then what are the things that you don't want to work with, or would be the deal breakers for you? The compensation's too low, it's too far away, there's no mentorship. So you can kind of take all those, most common components of what a physio would like to see, and you can actually make them positive or negative, and that becomes your deal maker, your deal breaker. So I took 11 courses in my first year of practice. And I'm not going to say that continuing education is not a good thing by any means. Lots of my success was based on a lot of my continuing education and my post-grad training. But I think what it is I actually found I started taking a lot of courses because I didn't actually know what I didn't know. And there was a lot of times where I didn't trust the expertise or the training that I had from school. And it just seemed that every patient that came through the door was a puzzle. But the reality is that you guys actually know a lot more than you give yourselves credit for. And your clinical reasoning capacity is a lot higher than you think as well. So when I graduated, I went into practice. I had a mentor on site, but as we started working together, there was less and less time for that mentorship because he was actually building more and more clinics, which was a goal for him, and I was happy to be on my own, which was great. But the challenge though is that made it a little bit harder from a mentorship perspective. So what I did is I just assumed that, I couldn't figure out this patient, so let me take a new course. But each time what happened is that it actually diluted some of that information, in my opinion. So I had all this great knowledge, but I wasn't really sure how to apply it. And I also didn't really figure out too much, what are the types of patients coming through my clinic? What is the sort of the niche market that I see as a private practitioner? So oftentimes now what I often suggest is that much of where you potentially lack from an expertise perspective is more in just the caseload management side of things. What I feel we get a lot of great work on in school is on the actual technical side of being a physio and the clinical reasoning side of things. So we often learn lots of systematic ways of doing things, but no patient follows the textbook, and you guys would see that from your placements. But it's also what makes it really interesting to be a physio is trying to figure out, what is wrong with the patient, how do we build them the most appropriate treatment plan. So what we really feel though is missing is that teaching you guys some of that business acumen. And once we teach you some of the business acumen side of things of managing your caseload and managing some of the complexities of patient care, then we would actually help you build a blueprint to know, okay, here's an area where maybe you want to take some extra courses, but you're actually excelling here. So why don't you put your focus over here?